Hi, everyone. We are joined this afternoon by Dr. Mark Tyndall, who is here to speak on the MySafe project. The MySafe project is a safe supply initiative formed in response to the overdose crisis. Welcome, Dr. Tyndall.
Thank you very much. It's really nice to be here. I think many people from Canada have never been to the Yukon, but I've been. So my name is Mark Tyndall. I'm talking to you from Vancouver. I was saying that I've been to the Yukon a couple of times now. My daughter married a guy from Whitehorse, and so we visited them and got to camp at a camp in the Yukon, which was quite amazing, and visit Dawson City. And then last summer, I paddled the Yukon River from Cormax to Dawson City. So I've been to the Yukon a couple of times, and really think it's something everybody should experience. So I'm going to talk about our project called MySafe. It really started in December of 2019, so we're actually well into our third year already. It's a SUAP funded grant from Health Canada, looking at biometric machines to give out drugs, and it's really trying to get at the base of the crisis that we face right now, and that people need to be offered a safer supply of drugs. And Corey Ranger, who I caught some of his talk just before me, is again a pioneer at really pushing this, and has done an amazing job in Victoria getting people access to this. So here's the first slide, just an intro slide and a picture of the machine. Can I have the next slide, please? So again, this was a project that was launched in response to the people that were dying. It really is a machine that forms as a lockbox, so people can keep their own prescriptions and access them. And we can control the access to the machine by putting a timer on it. And right now, people can access the machine once per day, and they use a palm scanner on the machine that identifies them. Next slide. So we have 4 active machines going right now, and we've dispensed about 10,000 packages of hydromorphone. So the machine right now is just giving out hydromorphone pills, or dilaudid 8 milligrams, and people get between 12 and 24 pills per day. Next slide. Okay, great. So basically, what I do is I meet the people that are in need of the program. I write a regular prescription. They're dispensed by the pharmacy. We have a system that somebody loads them into the machine, and I have access to a live dashboard of people's accessing the machine. Next one. So as I say, the SUAP grant that we got funded 5 machines. We have 4 going right now. 3 of them are in Vancouver, in the infamous downtown east side, and 1 just started up in Victoria. And we hopefully are close to getting 1 going in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and Winnipeg, Manitoba. So these sites were chosen when we put the grant in, so that people had already shown interest. But there's a lot of sites I've had over that time, since that time, that have expressed interest in it. And I think there is opportunity probably through the Health Canada program to get more machines. But right now, the program's limited to 5 machines as far as the funding goes. Next one, please. So there's about 75 participants currently. I'm personally writing all the prescriptions. The funding has a team of people who support these 75 participants. Over 3/4 have reported a previous overdose. About 1/3 are First Nations, and 75% are males, and the average age is 41. Most people are in their 30s and 40s. Next slide, please. We do some baseline things, a health history. You can see that there's a lot of self-reported issues with mental health, so anxiety and depression. There's some hepatitis C and HIV. It's notable that almost everybody in the program has had previous experience with some sort of opioid replacement therapy, and a few people have remained on methadone, but I would say that the majority of people have not been able to keep up to their Canadian methadone and Suboxone programs. There's a lot of drug use, a lot of multi drugs in this population, as we all know. The urine screens have cocaine and methamphetamine and fentanyl and hydromorphone and many drugs that we see in this community. Next slide, please. So a couple of or two or three very common concerns with this program is, will this stop people or reduce people's drug use? And we found that overall street drug use and follow-up, it's half report they're using less street drugs, about a quarter or it's much less. So altogether, about 80% of people who, since joining the program, have reduced their overall drug use, and specifically opioids, which is the target of this program. 53% say much less street drug use, 33% say less. So, and about 10% of people are not buying any street drugs right now. So it's had remarkable impact on people's uptake of the poison drug supply. And, when I really started pushing the idea of a safe supply, I was spending a lot of my time at supervised injection sites. And it just seemed crazy to me that we'd just allow people to come in knowing that they could overdose, and then all we could do is respond with oxygen and naloxone. And it just seemed to make no sense that we weren't offering people an alternative. The next thing that came up with, well, we should be testing people's drugs. But again, that is, it can be helpful to people, but I mean, what do you do when you find out that you have a very potent fentanyl in your pocket? You'll probably end up using it anyway. So, the root of this whole idea is that people would have an alternative to the street opioid use. And clearly, in the very short term, this has had a huge impact on the people in the program. Next slide, please. So the other thing is the engagement in the street economy. So many people are forced to find their drugs and money in ways that that can be quite disruptive to their lives and disruptive to other people's lives. And we found out that the self-reporting that 35% are not engaging in any of the street economy, 30% less, 26% much less, and about 10% of people say their involvement is about the same. And then diversion, which again, Corey pointed out, is a big obstacle to people prescribing these drugs. In the follow-up that we had, about 67% of people said they've never diverted any of their dilaudid pills. 20% say they've done it once, and 14% occasionally. So again, to me, diversion is something that has very little downside. So the people buying these drugs or diverting these drugs would be at least giving a safer supply to people. I think of the diversion of needles when I first got into this, and we were talking about needle exchanges. We were forcing people to bring back dirty needles to get clean ones, and then decided that didn't make very much sense if we're really trying to give people access to a steady supply of clean needles. And so then we didn't ask for the dirty ones back, and then gave people as many as they wanted. And now we actually encourage people to take extras so they can give them to their friends who wouldn't have access to a needle exchange. So I think as far as diversion of a safe supply goes, in an emergency situation, when so many people are dying of these toxic drugs, giving them to your neighbor is just a good thing to do. So clearly, we're not promoting the idea of diversion. We want people to use these medicines themselves so that they can reduce their street opioid use, but some diversion would be expected, and we see about 20% of people have diverted their dilaudid at least once. Next slide, please. So we have quite a lot of good relationships with our participants. The SUAP grant has allowed us to have some sort of wraparound services with nurses and community workers who keep in touch with people, and that's very helpful. Although the beauty of the machine is that people can choose to interact if they want. So some days when they're feeling like they want to talk, we're there for them. Some days when they don't want that, they just want the medicine, they can just go to the machine and get it. So, but we've had just a lot of great experiences talking to people who have been on the program. Next slide. These are some of the quotes that we've picked up. So people have said that there's no waiting period to access their pills as opposed to going to a pharmacy. They can go to the machine when they feel they need it. Two of the machines in Vancouver are in supportive housing. So most of the participants live right in the housing, so they can just go to the lobby and get it. And one of the machines is in a supervised injection site, so people can go there. But people are very happy with the convenience. Clearly, it's a non-judgmental thing. People can go to the machine, put up their hand and take their medication. I know when I introduce new people to the machine and I watch them get their first dose out of it, and they look at me and say, well, now what? And I say, well, they're your medicines. You do what you want with them. And so people can just walk away from the machine and go home or do whatever they want. And I'm quite confident as a physician that they won't overdose on them. And it would help them substitute for other drugs they'd use. People get immediate results from this. So as soon as they have access to this, they immediately feel they have a little more control over things and can deal with their cravings. The not shooting thing is also very interesting. Most people coming into the program were injecting their fentanyl or heroin before that. And many people find if I give them enough dilaudid that they can reduce also their needle use. Okay, next slide. We've had lots of positive feedback and support from community organizations, the Mayor of Vancouver, and even the police department, who are quite supportive of a safe supply type approach to this, and are very supportive of doing this through automation and the machine. Next slide. There are quite a number of challenges. So despite my enthusiasm and my team's enthusiasm for the program, and clearly we believe that people need access to a safer supply of drugs, there's still a lot of hurdles, and it's been a slow process getting the machines going, and it remains a lot of challenges. So even the support from public health leadership is not what it needs to be. Most people are in public health are somewhat supportive of safe supply, but really see this as the same model as methadone, which has failed so many people. Addiction physicians are not necessarily supportive of safe supply. Some are, but again, with a lot of strings attached. And so I'm trying to really push this as a public health approach to the overdose crisis. And we're never going to make progress if it's based on one-on-one prescriber to people who need these medications. And I'm amazed, in the downtown east side, where there's so many services available, how many people on this program really have no medical support and may have been on and off methadone in the past, but really have no consistent leads. And really the objective of this is to make a very low barrier way for people to access a safer supply. College of Physicians, College of Pharmacists are quite uncomfortable with using these medications. The whole idea is that giving out prescriptions for opioids caused this problem in the first place. We know it didn't, that the drivers of drug use are not access, but really demand for these drugs. And so again, we have to really keep pushing back that these drugs are necessary for people and are really first steps to engage people in care. Finding scalable models for safe supply, and I think the technology can really help us get there. There's issues with medication labels. So what I see hopefully is these machines would just be available for people who qualify for the machines, and they could access multiple different machines. And so the technology would allow us to network the machines, and you could go, out of the city for the weekend and still find a machine where you could get your medications. But right now, the regulations force us to put the person's name on each package, and so that limits the network ability of the program. And then, there's a lot of pushback from the community. But the more you talk to people about safe supply and having a regulated access to these drugs, the more community concerns can be put to rest. And as I showed those other slides, there's less crime and there's less people desperately seeking drugs, which is a very positive thing for the community. Next slide. Corey did look at the ethics. I mean, I think at this point in time, 6 years into the epidemic, many thousands of lives lost, that not giving people an alternative to a poison drug, street drug system is unethical. Like it's crazy. We know people will continue to use these drugs, and we're telling people it's dangerous out there, don't use them. And that clearly is a message that is not working. Next slide. Okay, so I thought I'd just show a video of one of the participants, which she explains things very well. So if you could show that, that'd be great.
My name is Ruby Ann, and I'm part of the MySafe program. And I'm here to say that the program is absolutely beneficial to me in my life. In the last couple months, I've found it much easier not to use heroin. A lot less pain in my body, a lot less side effects from not having heroin. I've stopped shooting needles in my arms since MySafe has been in my life. I used to have big dark marks on my arms. I used to be really not caring about myself. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep very much. I'd nod a lot. I'd also be sick most of the time, which I am no longer sick. My pills that they give me are Dilaudid, and Dilaudid is a pill that replaces heroin. Some people don't understand that it replaces heroin, so they do them both, and I don't think it's very smart. But Ruby Ann has gotten off the heroin now, and I'm on Dilaudid, and I think that MySafe program can be beneficial to those who are smart enough to realize that one drug such as Dilaudid can replace heroin and needles, which makes life way safer than it is when you're using street drugs. I smile more often now than I did a couple months ago. I pay attention to my pet, Sheila. I care for her more than I did when she was, I love her. I can feel for her now. I'm not asleep all the time. And I'm just grateful for MySafe because they make me really understand what it's like to be an addict and not have to act like an addict. And that's what My Safe is all about, is that you can be an addict and not have to look like one or act like one or feel like one. And I like that. So I recommend My Safe because it allows you to feel safe and be safe without having to use street drugs or shoot needles in my arms. And I'm very grateful for My Safe and for all the staff. And it's very important for everyone to know that My Safe is beneficial and that it does save lives. It saved mine.
Okay, we didn't work great, but we managed to get through it. So thank you for listening, and feel free to contact me if you have any other questions or if Whitehorse needs a MySafe machine.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tyndall, for joining us today.
Great.
And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's joined us today, everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for the ministers and the elder for opening our day, and also to all of you presenters who have been part of these important conversations today. We are free to go for the afternoon, and we look forward to seeing everybody back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Have a great afternoon.